A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jacob was the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary. Of her was born Jesus, who is called the Christ. Now this is how the birth of Jesus Christ came about. When his mother Mary was betrothed to Joseph, but before they lived together, she was found with child through the Holy Spirit. Joseph, her husband, since he was a righteous man, yet unwilling to expose her to shame, decided to divorce her quietly. Such was his intention when, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary, your wife, into your home. For it is through the Holy Spirit that this child has been conceived in her. She will bear a son, and you are to name him Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins. When Joseph awoke, he did as the angel of the Lord had commanded him, and took his wife into his home. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Today is the solemnity of St. Joseph, and St. Joseph in our current age in church history, we are experiencing something new in church history, and we are discovering a revival of the patronage and the knowledge of St. Joseph. So one of the things that, if you study church history, one of the things that's kind of interesting about our modern age is that the church has developed a larger interest in the theology of the Blessed Virgin Mary and the theology of St. Joseph. And not only has the church developed this theology, but Mary and Joseph are appearing in many different places as well, in literal apparitions. In the last couple hundred years, there have been numerous apparitions of the Blessed Virgin Mary throughout the world, presumably more so than any other age in earlier church history. And now, oftentimes, when Mary appears, St. Joseph actually appears with her. That's one thing that a lot of people don't realize, like the apparition of Our Lady of Knock. St. Joseph was part of that apparition. Likewise, when Mary appeared in Fatima in 1917, St. Joseph also was there in the apparition. And so there's something interesting about that. And what I think is happening is that as our age becomes more secular, and as our age becomes more under the influence of the evil one, our enemy, the evil one is trying to destroy so many of the beautiful things that we hold dear. And so we see many attacks against the church. We see many attacks against marriage and the family. We see many attacks on even just the proper roles of men and women, an attack on traditional femininity, an attack on traditional masculinity. And so what I believe is happening is that God is realizing that in our age, we are in greater need of an example of femininity, an example of masculinity. And so God keeps showing forth for us these examples of Mary and Joseph. And the church is doing the same thing. Most of the Marian doctrines that we talk about as Catholics, they were not properly defined and proclaimed. It wasn't that they weren't believed before, but it was that it wasn't until the last 200 years that the church decided that it was necessary to proclaim those doctrines of Mary, about her Immaculate Conception, about her Assumption, and the other Marian dogmas. So the church has seen a need to do this. And now, even more recently, we're going to see a development of the theology of St. Joseph. The Vatican recently, a few years back, made a change, for example, in the Roman Missal, that St. Joseph is now to be mentioned at every single Mass, the Eucharistic prayer. That was not the case before. In the 1800s, the same Pope who proclaimed the doctrine of the Immaculate Conception of Mary, he also proclaimed that Joseph is the universal patron of the Church. Many theologians and scholars are beginning to focus on St. Joseph in their doctorate studies. And there's a whole new awareness of St. Joseph that is coming to fruition, even in scholarship. It's happening in lots of different places. And so I think that's a good thing that is happening in our current age. And I think that St. Joseph and Mary should be held up as examples for us in our culture. When so many people feel like they don't have good examples of femininity or masculinity to emulate, they can look to Mary and to Joseph. The last thing I'll say this morning, because I need to keep this brief because of the glory and everything else, but one of the things that is fascinating about St. Joseph, like I said, is that he has recently been proclaimed the universal patron of the church, the universal protector of the church. So think about what that means. In the church has a certain authority that the church can give to certain people and to certain saints. So, for example, every Catholic parish, when it is established and it is consecrated by the bishop, it is given a patron saint. St. Bernard is not just our namesake, he is our protector here in Montgomery County. When that happened, St. Bernard was given a certain spiritual authority over our entire county. And that's why it's important for us to be praying for him and asking for his protection. When a bishop is consecrated and ordained in a diocese, he is given a spiritual authority over that diocese. One of the things that happens with a bishop, for example, is he automatically becomes the exorcist of that diocese. And he has the authority to delegate that authority to one of his priests. Any priest who tries to perform an exorcism without that authority will embarrassingly fail until he receives that authority. Same thing goes with a pastor. The pastor is given a certain authority over this local community. And even parents have a spiritual authority over their children. But it's kind of a different authority. It's not given through the church. It's given by God and by natural means. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I think it's important for us to recognize that the church, with her authority, has given to St. Joseph universal protection of the entire church. He is the patron saint of the Roman Catholic Church. He's the protector of all of us. That's why theologians say that he is the terror of demons. He has authority over the entire church as its protector. And so when he is invoked as a patron saint, it carries an even greater weight than any other saint. And so it's very important and good that we would be seeking recourse from St. Joseph for spiritual protection of our parish, our family, our own spiritual lives. He is the universal patron and protector of the church.